Okay, we are continuing Captain Underpants and the terrifying return of Tippy Tinkletrousers. We're up to chapter 11, Furious George. There is not a whole lot you can do when you are a little kid who encounters injustice. Your natural desire is to set things right, but that can often backfire, resulting in even greater injustices. The sad truth is, big people usually have all of the power. You can't force anybody to be kind or fair or honourable, especially if you're only 43 inches tall and weigh only 50 pounds. That's why it's important to be smart. George Beard had just witnessed the most hostile and unfair thing he had ever seen. The bad guys outnumbered him by 5 to 1 and outweighed him by probably 700 pounds. But George was smarter than all of them put together, and he knew it. As the bullies dragged Harold across the street, George looked around him for the best way to make things right. He focused in on the display sign next to him. The sign read, "Free Brake Inspection." This was a busy intersection, and George knew that a tiny change in this sign could create a great deal of pandemonium, so he reached over to the sign and removed the letters K and E from the word brake. "Hey," screamed Billy Bill, "you get away from that sign right now. Yeah, what is wrong with you kids these days?" Billy marched over to George, yelling and waving his hands in the air frantically. He reached out to grab George by the shirt collar, but he never got the chance. At that very moment, a violet Volkswagen jumped the curb and screeched up next to Billy Bill. Two old ladies flew out of the car, screaming at the top of their lungs. "Free bra inspection," shouted the driver as she smacked Billy Bill over the head with her purse. "That's offensive. How dare you?" yelled the other lady, hitting Billy Bill with her cane. "Women are human beings, not toys for you to play with." Billy Bill got it. Free bra inspection. "You're a male chauvinist pig," screamed a third lady who had run over from the coffee shop across the street with a group of her angry female friends. They each took turns kicking Billy Bill repeatedly in the knees as other women drivers slammed on their brakes and rushed forward to join the ferocious female fight for equality. "You got to learn to stick up for yourself," George said to Billy Bill, smiling, "or people are going to bully you your whole life." George walked past the giant traffic jam that was forming and ignored Billy Bill's tear-filled cries for mercy as the kicking and whacking and hair-pulling and foot-stomping continued. George was looking for that yellow-haired kid. He skateboarded over to the elementary school and circled back toward the parking lot. There he saw Kipper and his creepy cohorts laughing and cheering as they tore up Harold's drawings and snapped each of his pencils in half. "Leave him alone," shouted George. The 6th grade bullies turned and looked at the tiny kindergartner who stood defiantly before them. "Haw, haw, haw," laughed Kipper. "What you going to do if we don't?" "I'm going to Indiana Jones ya," George said as he untied his tie and twirled it threateningly between his outstretched hands. "Get him," yelled Kipper. The bullies ran in for the attack and George let them have it. Chapter 12, the incredibly graphic violence chapter in Flipperama. Indiana George and the Tie of Doom. What is he going to do with his tie? Featuring Flipperama. Pilky Round. Here's how it works. This chapter contains scenes of intense brutality and is intended for mature audiences only. For those of us who aren't very mature, we proudly introduce the art of Flipperama. Step 1. First, place your left hand inside the dotted lines marked left hand here. Hold the book open flat. Step 2. Grasp the right hand page with your right thumb and index finger inside the dotted lines marked right thumb here. Now quickly flip the right hand page back and forth until the picture appears to be animated. For a little extra fun, try adding your own sound effects. Okay. Flip-o-rama. Left hand here, right hand here. Remember, flip only page 103. While you are flipping, be sure you can see the picture on page 103 and the one on page 105. If you flip quickly, the two pictures will start to look like one animated picture. Don't forget to add your own sound effects. Okay, you ready? Ready? Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Pretty good, isn't it? Kipper screamed like a giant blubbering baby and ran for his life. Brug and Loogie were next. You ready? The attack smacker. Let's get out of here, screamed Loogie and Bug through their tears. Finkstein stepped up, opened up a trash bin, and the four bullies tried to scramble inside, but they weren't fast enough. Oh no, the tormentor preventer. You ready? George got him. Chapter 13, Detention. The detention. I don't want you guys messing with me ever again, George said firmly as the bullies squealed in high-pitched terror. And that yellow-haired kid is off limits too. You mess with us, you answer to the tie. George snapped his tie in the air one last time, causing the four sobbing sixth graders to shriek like baboons. "Ah, Uncle Benny!" Kipper wailed through his tears. Suddenly, Mr. Krupp came storming out of the building. "What's going on out here?" he screamed. "That little kid beat us up," Kipper sobbed. "Oh, he did he?" yelled Mr. Krupp as he grabbed George by his arm. "I don't take kindly to bullies in this school." "They're the bullies," cried Harold, pointing at Kipper and his three frightened friends. "Those guys were just about to beat that kid up. He was just defending himself." Mr. Krupp reached over and grabbed Harold by his arm. "I don't like liars either," he growled. Mr. Krupp yanked both boys to the detention room. "You two troublemakers are going to stay here until you've learned your lesson," he shouted, then slammed the door. "So much for a good first impression," said George. The two boys sat in silence for several minutes. Harold opened his backpack and took out a notebook and the pointy half of one of his broken pencils. He started to draw. "What grade are you in?" asked George. "Kindergarten," said Harold. "Me too," said George. "I'm new. We just moved here 3 days ago." "Oh," said Harold. "I think you live next door to my house." "Really?" said George. George glanced over and noticed that Harold was drawing a giant monster. "Hey, you're a good drawer," George said. "Thanks," said Harold. George watched as Harold drew a flying hero zapping the monster with a laser beam. "Cool," said George, pointing to the superhero. "What's that guy's name?" Harold shrugged. "He doesn't have a name." "How come?" asked George. Harold shrugged again. "It's just a picture," he said. "It's not really a story." "Oh," said George. George watched intently as Harold finished his picture. When he was done, Harold folded the page back and started drawing a new picture on the next page. Do you want me to draw too?" Harold asked. "Do you want to draw too?" Harold asked. "I have some more pencils. They're broken, but the pointy parts still work okay." "No," said George. "I can't draw good. I'm a writer." "Oh," said Harold. He tore some fresh pages out from the back of his notebook and handed them to George. "Here, you can write on these if you want." George took the papers and thought for a long time. Then he wrote The Adventures of Dogman at the top of the first page. At the bottom he wrote by George and... "Hey, what's your name, kid?" George asked. "Harold," said Harold. George wrote Harold's name down at the bottom. "I'm going to write a comic book," he said. "George, you can draw the pictures, okay?" Okay, said Harold.
Okay.
That is how George and Harold became friends and started publishing their publishing empire on the very same day. Chapter 14, The Adventures of Dogman. Action Laughs Fleas by George and Harold. The Adventures of Dogman by George and Harold. One time there was a police guy. His partner was a dog named Greg. They were good at catching criminals and stuff. Ow! But one day there was a bomb. "We have to stop the bomb, Greg." But they were too late. Kablooey! The bomb blew up and they got hurted. An ambulance took them to the hospital. "How do you feel, old friend?" "Rough." "Me too." Soon the doctor came in with sad news. "Boo-hoo! I am sorry, Greg, but your body is dying. Your head is dying too, cop." "Rats! I sure hate my dying head." "But then, hey, I got an idea, nurse lady. Why don't we sew Greg's head on the cop's body? Good idea, nurse lady. You're a genius. Hooray! Soon then they had a big operation and the doctor cut off Greg's head and sewed it on the cop's body. What a lucky day. And so, hooray for Dogman! Dogman was the best of all cops. He could sniff crooks with his dog nose, rats. He could hear crimes with his dog ears, rats. And best of all, he could punch criminals with his human fists. Pow! Ow! I mean rats. Quick, Dogman, where is the crook? Woof, woof. He's up on the roof. What is he wearing? Pant, pant, pant. He's wearing pants. How will we ever get up there? Bark, bark. Good idea, Dogman. Let's climb up the bark of this tree. And so, we caught the bad guy. We couldn't have did it without you. Dogman was the greatest cop of ever. But he had one mortal fear. Vacuum cleaner. When Dogman saw the vacuum cleaner, he runned and hided. Oh, I forgot. Dogs are scared of vacuum cleaners. But nobody knew that somebody was watching. Somebody evil. It was Petey, the world's most evilest cat. Ha ha ha, now I know Dogman's weakness. So Petey invented an evil vacuum robot. So, my precious, go and suck up all the money from the bank. Okay. Ha ha ha. Vroom. Hey, no fair. Jim's bank. Quick, Dogman, a robot is robbing the bank. Dogman runned to save the day, but then, Dogman runned away. I'll get you, Dogman. He runned and runned. Finally, Dogman got cornered in a corner. I'll kill you. The vacuum cleaner got closer and closer. Dogman got scareder and scareder. The vacuum robot leaped attackishly, but then look at what happened. Bop. The vacuum got unplugged. Dogman wasn't scared no more. He beated up the robot. Then he followed the cord. It leaded straight to Petey's hideout. Uh-oh, secret hideout. Then Petey got arrested. Rats, if only I would have made that cord 6 inches longer. Dogman was the hero. Yay, Dogman. Good boy, Dogman. Shake. Wine, wine, wine. Good idea, let's have some wine. Non-alcoholic wine. Hooray for Dogman. The end.